Coming up as First at 4 continues, a historic change is coming to Kentucky regarding unemployment benefits. And after originally choosing to allow alcohol at the World Cup, event organizers are reversing that decision.
Plus, bitterly cold conditions on the way as we head through the next several nights. I'll break down when we return back to average coming up as First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Kentucky is among the states with the longest possible unemployment benefits at 26 weeks. But come January 1st, those unemployment benefits will change for the first time in 84 years. This change comes with the passing of House Bill 4. Samantha Valentino sat down with one of the bill's sponsors to discuss the historic change it will cause.
Right now, workforce participation is at 53.8%. That is 48th in the nation.
Representative Pratt cites Kentucky's current UI benefits as part of the problem, which is why he says a change is necessary. With the passing of House Bill 4 come January 1st, Kentucky's unemployment benefits will vary based on the state's average unemployment rate for 3-month periods. The rate from July through September will determine the benefits for claims filed the following January through June. The rate from January through March will determine benefits for the following July through December. However, Representative Pratt says there are ways to receive extended benefits.
You can go get job training, and we will pay you longer to do that. That actually incentivize people to go back to BCTC and get an associate degree or actually shadow someone.
Some have raised concerns about benefits being based on the state average, as there are severe differences when you compare the rates county by county. In 2021, Kentucky's statewide unemployment rate was 4.7%. However, 13 Kentucky counties had an unemployment rate of 7% or more.
Federal rules right now said we cannot index it by county. It has to be statewide average, so we can't address that. But we do need to get more good paying jobs into Eastern Kentucky and to the or anywhere in Kentucky that has a lower UI number.
Representative Pratt says they're working to address this issue at a local level. In Scott County, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
We reached out to the Kentucky Office of Unemployment to find out what happens if someone applies for unemployment benefits before January 1st. Will they receive the 26 weeks or the 12? We're told that our question could not be answered at this time as they have not yet received training regarding the changes made by House Bill 4. Construction of Boones Ridge continues in Bell County, and the scene is looking more and more promising every day. Boones Ridge will offer indoor and outdoor activities with a breathtaking view of our mountainous region and the wildlife within it. Appalachian Wildlife Foundation President David Ledford says, however, that issues with supply chain are slowing them down.
It's very frustrating, but it's also just life. But yeah, it's a thing. It's anything electronic is a major problem getting.
Boones Ridge was originally scheduled to be open to the public in summer of 2023, but that's now getting pushed back to spring of 24. Some 7th and 8th graders in Pike County spent the day getting educated about entrepreneurship. The 8th annual Entrepreneur Fair hit the Millard School lunchroom today, allowing students to showcase their business ideas and support their peers. The event is in partnership with Morehead State University, focused on spreading the idea that students can have a hand in creating the future workforce.
So we've got goods, we've got services, so they're really looking at that side of life. What type of business, how much money do I want to charge for things, how much do things cost? So it's really a real world, real life project that they're working on.
Former students came in to help judge the event. Organizer and teacher Sadina Stanley says 3 winners from each category will take their projects to compete at Morehead State University.
Keeping clouds scattered throughout the region so far today. That's kept those highs down into the 30s. In fact, just about all of us still in the 30s at this hour. A look outside from UVA-wise. They're at 34, and you see those clouds, and this is updated every 15 seconds. So you see those clouds are kind of hitching their get along here this afternoon. We'll continue to see those move on out. There's the view from Mountain Parkway at Slade. Here's what's on the way. Once those clouds clear out, a little bit of sunshine as the sun nears that horizon this evening. 37 there in Slade, 34 just to the west and southwest of Slade and Irvin, 32 Jackson. And yes, these are current temperatures, so we still continue to see very cold air. 42, one of our warmer locations in Middlesboro. Factor in the winds, which are blowing Out of the west, 5 to 10 miles an hour, 26 it feels like Jackson Hazard, 29 London and Prestonsburg. So it feels like a chilly one out there. We did have a few of those flurries try to sneak on through the region, but many of them have since exited the region. But if you're headed out to region football tonight, grab that First Alert weather app. You're going to need it because you open up that forecast, you see we're down into the 30s and eventually the 20s as we head through the nighttime hours. We're settling in the low 20s overnight. Now, in just a few minutes, I'll have the details on when we could see a return to a little bit more, average weather. That's in a few minutes. Keaton?
Thank you, Evan. Kentucky State Police hosted a graduation ceremony for new troopers in Frankfort today. The class of 38 cadets were greeted by other state troopers and Governor Andy Beshear. The new troopers are from all over the state with the goal to complete the academy training and enhance public safety, creating a safer place for those here in Kentucky. Beshear congratulated the graduates and spoke about the importance of retention and recruitment in the program. He says the raises they've implemented earlier this year have definitely made a difference.
The raises not only help people year to year, they ultimately factor in that retirement as well. So we're actually up on our Kentucky State Police numbers for the first time in years.
Beshear says their raises brought the starting pay to more than $60,000, making it the largest raise in the history of state police. A Courier-Journal report found that Kentuckians had their lowest voter turnout for a midterm election this century. Fayette County Clerk Don Blevins says only 42% of those registered in Lexington cast their ballots. Jeremy Tom sat down with the UK political science professor to discuss what drove those low figures.
A report from the Courier-Journal shows that Kentucky had its lowest statewide voter turnout for a midterm election since 1994. Stephen Voss is an associate professor of political science at UK, and he tells me that stems largely from the fact that so many of the races on people's ballots this year were predetermined.
Voter turnout, and we had such sleepy races at the top of the ticket, congressional seats that weren't seriously being contested, a Senate race that was seen as a foregone conclusion.
Even while being buoyed by the amendments at the bottom of the ticket.
The turnout likely would have been even lower if we hadn't had Amendment 2 as the caboose at the end of that train.
A majority of registered Kentuckians did not show up to the polls. Lexington had its lowest turnout in at least 40 years, which stunned Fayette County Clerk Don Blevins. And in Madison County, only 40% voted, a sharp drop from 51% in 2018, according to Clerk Kenny Barger. Voss noted that these numbers can be made to look worse because of the fast-growing population in the Lexington metro.
You have to be careful with turnout statistics because they're not just looking at how many people voted, they're calculating it based on how many people were registered.
But the clerks are still troubled by what they saw this election cycle.
So a voter in Madison County would have elected everything but one senator and president from top to bottom in this election, and only 40% turned out.
In Lexington, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
Voss believes it could be a different story next year when Kentucky holds its statewide elections, including the governor's race. He says the fact that Kentucky's race is in an odd year means it will get a lot of attention around the country, and political ad dollars could be used to boost interest in voting. Organizers for the World Cup in Qatar are banning alcohol sales in and around stadiums for the tournament. The Muslim country is considered to be very conservative and tightly regulates alcohol sales and usage. In September, Qatar said it would permit ticketed fans to buy alcoholic beer at the soccer matches starting 3 hours before kickoff and for 1 hour after the final whistle, but not during the match. The World Cup begins Sunday and runs through December 18th. Coming up, as First at 4 continues, Tyson Foods is recalling more than 90,000 pounds of ground beef.
Well, it's chilly out there right now, and that will continue right on through the weekend. The details on when we could return to some more mild air. That's on the way.